This audio is for educational purposes only. I hope this will add light to your journey. Please share this audio to your loved ones, family and friends. Thank you.
How to Love Yourself, The Art of Loving Myself, by Jonathan Kis-Lev. Self-love, as the basis of high self-esteem, self-worth, and self-respect. Be yourself and love yourself. Right now. Jonathan Kis-Lev. Introduction. This book you are holding is a book full of love. It was written with love, with the hope that it will reach you, wherever you are, touch you, and inspire you, in many ways. I've been writing this book for years. I've been on the journey of choosing to love myself for many years now. The past 5 years, I've dedicated myself wholly to the subject. I've read books, I've gone to seminars, and I practiced various exercises regularly. You may ask, why this obsession with this subject of loving yourself? Quite frankly, I don't know. All I know is that I have felt a hunger to fill a gap in my soul. I've tried to fill it with work and accomplishments, and it didn't work. I tried to fill it with love, romance and sex, and became even more depressed. I tried creation, doing art and writing, and it got me closer, but didn't fill the gap wholly. I am a pleaser. I always like to please others. I also like to be well regarded. Early on, I learned that when I brought good grades home, I received positive attention and love. I therefore tried to bring the best grades I could. After school, I did it with my work as an artist. Bigger paintings, better paintings, more extravagant exhibitions, all to get positive attention. I did all this to make me feel that I'm all right. But soon enough, this way of life took its toll. I was living for other people. I was trying to make my parents proud, my girlfriend proud, my siblings, friends, even distant acquaintances, and it was tiring, exhausting, and unhealthy. I began having severe back pains, often paralyzing me for days. I did physiotherapy, acupuncture, whatever, it didn't help, and things were getting worse. In my love life, I found myself in the second, if not third, unhealthy relationship. I was trying to be the good guy all the time, while not really knowing who I was and what I wanted. Even asking this question seemed to me like an odd, if not a rude, question to ask. This book details my journey. It is a journey towards loving myself. Have I arrived? Well, I think I'm still working on it. Each month, each year, I feel that I do love myself more. I feel that I respect myself more. Each year, I'm becoming kinder to myself. This journey has not been easy. To an extent, it still continues. I still have lots of work to do. But the benefits I'm already reaping are amazing. So amazing, in fact, that I decided to sit down and write this book, to tell you all that's possible if you dedicate yourself to this journey. I found that loving yourself is a form of art, and while I do not strive for perfection, I do appreciate those artists and artisans that have made their art a sublime one. In this book, I share the processes, the exercises, the mental highs and lows, and through personal example, I hope to inspire you to practice the art of loving yourself. I am an artist at living. My work of art is my life. Daisetsu Taitaro Suzuki, Japanese Zen master and author. If a man writes a book, let him set down only what he knows. I have guesses enough of my own. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 19th century German writer and statesman. Experience, nothing but experience. All I am about to share with you is my knowledge, the way I experienced it, the way I came to understand it, through being involved. Much of it, I learned the tough way. Don't get me wrong, I'm still working on this very thing myself. I am working on loving myself, on accepting myself for who I am. It's a journey. Each year, I feel that I love myself more. I feel that I allow myself to giggle and laugh out loud, without caring all too much what others around me think. I allow myself to cry, or at least be vulnerable. around people I care about. I allow myself to seem stupid at times, asking questions for answers I think I should have known. There is great freedom in being yourself. We all love and are attracted to people that are just themselves. Oprah Winfrey is an example. She is pretty good at being herself, and that's what makes me like her so much. So are other teachers and celebrities. When I sense that they are authentic and real, I love them all the more. But the road to authenticity passes through self-love town. You gotta be willing to accept yourself for who you are, actually, more than accept, embrace. I went to this Jack Canfield workshop in 2011, and he gave us this exercise of standing in front of the mirror every evening and telling ourselves encouraging words. These would be words about how well you did that day, and stuff like that. No reprimand allowed. Oh, and yes, that end piece, he told us to, at the end, look ourselves in the eye and say, I love you. Arg, I hated that. I barely looked at myself in the eyes when I said that, and when I did, I actually faked it. It was as if I looked at someone I'd rather not be around and say, so, nice to see you. Aha, right, long way to go, but I kept doing this darn exercise each night, almost every night, for months and months. At the time, I was in an amazing relationship with a girl I thought I was to marry. I didn't want to embarrass myself by telling her that I do this weird mirror thing, so I didn't. I also didn't tell her other things that were showing up. I felt that she was judging me. She wasn't the only one. I was judging myself constantly as well. She used to, let's call her Autumn, that's a nice name. Well, Autumn used to often be upset with me. It might have been something I said or did. She would retreat to her taking space and needing to be alone. And so I was left being in a relationship alone. I also spoke to her about marriage and about our future together. She was not into it. And she said that, and I'm paraphrasing, given some things I've seen about you, about your inner insecurities, I just don't see myself being married to such a person. You see, I nodded, but I didn't see. All I saw was how through me, showing her my real self, my vulnerable self, I was actually pushing her away. Was there something really that bad about me? To the core, that bad that Autumn could see and be appalled by. I wanted to quit this stupid exercise. That mirror thing. I kept repeating some affirmative words to myself, and at the end telling myself that I love myself. But I wasn't really there. Deep inside, I probably thought, I love myself. But, and then the list would come. But, you are too sensitive sometimes. But, you are too stressed sometimes. But, you are too girly sometimes. And sometimes, you're just plain annoying. I can't even write these words right now. So much self-loathing, so much unaccepting of myself. I was far from embracing myself. I went on with the mirror exercise. And, following the encouragement of Autumn, I began going to a shrink. This psychologist was a friend of her psychologist. And so, for the first time in my life, I began going to an actual, official therapy. I put my pride aside and did everything I thought I needed to do in order to be able to save this relationship. What was unique, though, was that Eyal, the therapist, actually was often upset with my stories about Autumn. He'd say, but did you tell her that it upset you that she did that? I tried. I said, well, you should be able to communicate with her freely. So I tried. Every few weeks or so, I mustered the courage, and I would tell her about her not accepting me, about her being easily hurt, and forgetting who I am, and that I love her, about her distancing herself from me, about me not knowing how to communicate with her. We both had much work to do. I realize now, each time I finally spoke, Autumn would be all loving and embracing. I think it touched her, that I opened up, that I cared, that I cried, but unfortunately, this feeling of openness within her lasted only a day or so. Then, I'd get an SMS from her saying, "It was a bit much for me. I need to take some space." I came to despise this word. Space. What the heck? In the beginning, I used to give her all the space I could. But, after few days I felt that I was pretty lonely. What was this relationship for? If we can't connect and support, and be together. Eyal would listen to my explanation of how Autumn needs some space now. I would see his eyebrows frowning, and his head shaking. "No, but," he'd say, "every time you're trying to talk and solve things, she walks away." "Yeah," I'd say. The mirror exercise kept repeating. I began feeling a difficulty doing it. I hated it. I also hated the fact I was in a relationship that didn't work for me. I deserve better, I said. Eyal looked at me. Do I see a tinge of hope in his eyes? "You do," he said. "I can't stand how each time it's just, sorry. This was too much for me. And that then she's gone." Eyal said, "Well, we are not judging Autumn. She has her own things to go through, and her places to grow. But we care about Jonathan. And it seems like you are torturing yourself." "Yeah, yes, answer." Few months later, with the help of Autumn's psychologist friend, I dared to end it. Autumn was outraged. I was too. Lots of tears. I remember being by the sea, walking barefoot, feeling helpless. This relationship was supposed to be it. Like, it, and now I'm alone, again, and Autumn was everything I could hope for. She was a freaking dancer, of national level, and a voracious reader, and a super intelligent girl. Funny, charming, but it just didn't sit right with me. Being on a journey of choosing me, of choosing myself, of choosing to treat myself well. Autumn was echoing my past, me shunning parts of myself, and not taking me for what I am, my whole self. Autumn was sweet, she meant well, and Autumn eventually forced me to prove myself that I actually do love myself. There were rough months ahead. I kept doing the mirror exercise. At one point, I might have added an actual hug, an embrace, of me wrapping my arms around myself, tilting my head gently on my shoulder, and rocking myself from side to side. Few seconds of bliss, of care, of affection to myself. Oh, how much I needed that. With time, there was more love to myself. I felt more, is dignified the word. I felt respect to myself. I felt like I had something to offer the world, something to offer to a girl, a woman, that would be willing to die for me. Not die, but close enough. With time, I felt more respect and affection to myself. About a year later, I entered into a relationship with this girl, who was somewhat into it, somewhat not, for several dates, and so she kept going back and forth. I was willing to be patient. I liked her a lot, but I also liked myself a lot. There was one time when this new girl did something annoying. Don't remember exactly what it was. She was probably short-tempered about something rather, and in the way she spoke to me, I felt like I was in that old movie again. Darn it, I hurried to say, before I regret, before I overthink it, "Hey, that didn't feel very nice. I'd rather you not speak that way to me. If you are upset, then say that, but don't, you know." And I saw something responding in her eyes. Her demeanor changed. "Why, sure, you're right," she said. I felt like such a man. At that moment, no, I was not going to take any form of abuse, even the slightest, and I really liked the way she responded. I also felt that she liked the fact I said something. She later on embraced me closer, and, a year or so later, told me it was a defining moment for her. It meant, she explained, that you see me, that you really cared about my well-being. I was a little dumbfounded of how it showed that, but I didn't complain. 2 more years later, we got married, and that whole happily ever after thing. Had I not had the courage to speak up for myself, we most likely wouldn't have been together today. Had I not done the mirror exercise religiously, including actually physically embracing myself. I wouldn't have had the courage to speak up, had I not been determined to love myself. I wouldn't have had the tenacity and the audacity to actually do this ridiculous mirror thing. So my point is, choose you, choose yourself, love yourself, work on giving more respect and more appreciation to yourself, please.